All right, Shalom Israel. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostle, elders, bishops, great millstone. Most salutation to the brothers teaching the word for the hopeful elect, soon to be the elect. Most high will to the hopeful extended elect. Shalom. Blessings. Just a quick video about, we've gone over these scriptures before about this third world war approaching. And, of course, scoffers will say otherwise, but Revelation 9 and 12, one woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. World War One, World War Two, World War Three. Woe means destruction, basically. It is, even when Oppenheimer, during his time, he said, I have become the destroyer of worlds, dealing with the atom bomb. And I have become death. I have become the destroyer of worlds, because those bombs, able to destroy a lot. Worlds of people, countries, so forth. And it's another scripture that reiterates that too. But I looked up a little information about what they think about World War III. I think it's maybe the people's opinion. Well, Chat GPT says, and I asked if Venezuela used the RFID, and they do biometric passports. So this reason why I mentioned that, because it's got something to do with control. U.S. controlling it. Basically, it's time for them to try to control the whole world. So, and they do it by means of their military strategies, power to, opposition to any enemy. They think in their mind that they're able to, have a self-ran government, or, being a sovereign country. And that's what it said about Venezuela. Let me see, go to this part. It says, on January 3rd, 2026, the United States launched a large, and this is, hey, things are already coming off, you know what I'm saying? This is the year of the apostasies, agents and sellouts. And that all leads to, coined by Apostle Hart, and that all leads to also, Roman Catholic, what the Catholic Church which is the false prophet. So, a lot of these the sellouts too are connected with this MOTB. I mean, that's what it says about the MOTB, buy and sell method of lifestyle that they're gonna push on people, implement it in the earth all across the world. It says the United States launched a large-scale military operation against Venezuela called Operation Absolute Resolve. I'm gonna look into that too. U.S. forces bombed targets in and around Caracas and other locations and captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, flying them to the United States to face criminal charges. President Trump said the U.S. would run Venezuela temporarily to oversee a transition and boost oil production. The strike marked a major escalation of tensions and resulted in casualties and strong international reactions. This also could be staged. I mean, not so much like, everybody in on it, but it could actually still be a stage that says cowardly attacked us. Venezuela Interior Minister responds to U.S. Strikes. Trump orders. And then they got so-called footage. Well, it's supposed to be footage of Maduro and his wife running, trying to escape and getting captured by the officials. But the way that they have it it kind of looks shady. I had it pulled up, but let me see if they have it. Yeah, right here. it just kind of looks something off about it, man. And I looked up a little about Maduro. It says over here in the that's him right there. It says over here in the right, he's 63 years old. Nicolas Maduro Maras in Venezuela, and these are people. Most Venezuelans are people for the most part. You do have our people that look like them, but not our people. But it says Venezuelan politician and former union leader who has served as the president of Venezuela since 2013. He previously served as the 24th vice president under President Hugo Chavez from 2012 to 2013, and was also the Minister of Foreign Affairs from 2006 to 2012. Party United Socialist Party of Venezuela. His wife, Cecilia Flores. This kind of reminds me of a little bit of the Fidel Castro thing with Cuba. I think some of that was staged. I have to just go back and read the whole story of what happened. But I think, Fidel Castro was working with Guevara, Chavez, and they were, through military campaigns, they were starting to rebel against the U.S., which they had once worked with, even on, political, financial basis, I guess. But same thing with Saddam Hussein and bin Laden. They had once funded these guys, even, I guess, protected these guys, had investment in these guys. But that was probably a stage too, you know. When you read about the story going back, a lot of it doesn't make sense, you know. But, whatever the case is, it's according to prophecy, it's stirring up some things, and it's approaching Third World War, which we always go into, and by simple scriptures, you know. It don't have to be all this, but we can break down pieces as we read about these the people and events and things that have happened in the past. Why the U.S. says it attacked. The Trump administration publicly framed the military action with several justifications: narco terrorism and drug trafficking claims. Same thing they did with Mexico, with Mexico cartel, and same with them saying that they had to build a wall and keep the drug dealers out. Meanwhile, they're the ones importing drugs into the United States. It even goes back to Cuba. Colombia being one of the most drug, I guess, facilities or stations, and to provide those drugs, and all that, going back to the, what is it called, the Woodstock days with the flower children doing pot and drugs and all that. That's a part of that whole thing, man. I don't really know how to break it down right now, like sequence wise, but yeah, it's all tied in there. So they doing the same thing with them, and they could bomb any country and just use this tactic, drugs, um, terrorism. They'll do it to their own country, America. I mean, all they have to do is do a staged terrorist attack right here in America, something like the 9/11, something like the uh, mural building in downtown Oklahoma. Uh, you know, just any type of thing that they able to bring to stir up spirits, to shake up people, to produce fear, for control, man. the United States government accused Maduro's government of being closely tied to large-scale drug trafficking networks, including cartel activity. See, and then you would think like they have military, they have the greatest military, so called, I guess, right here in America, and they still haven't stopped child trafficking. They still haven't human trafficking, organ harvesting. Still haven't, um, stopped drug cartels that work. And they could just come on, guns in the neighborhood. This is all planned. This is all, and it makes money. They make money off of people's death. You know, that's why you got, hey, you got people killing each other. You got people selling drugs. They confiscate the money and the drugs, and they put it on the news and make a whole story about it. Write a book about it. Like even with these gangsters going back to Al Capone and them. The mobsters and um, who was that other one? Frank Lucas and all them, and uh, Daz. I think it's Daz the Dillinger who the rapper Daz named himself after. Those kind of people, they have a tight knit with the communities around the world, and some policemen or whatever officials, government officials. So you know, it's just when they started, rebelling or not following the orders that were set up is when things get shaky. So they'll come after them. But they make movies out of it. And they made a movie as a movie, Bonnie and Clyde, based on a real life couple. So, uh, and they'll do the same with this man. But not only that, but it's according to prophecy, it's according to things that supposed to be stirred up in the spirit of these nations, these countries, and people, including cartel activity that allegedly, you know, um, Maduro's government of being closely tied to large-scale drug trafficking networks, including cartel activity that allegedly flooded the U.S. with cocaine and fentanyl. They still use that today, and like we tell you about pharmaceutical organizations or establishments, which you could buy over-the-counter drugs at any time at these, yeah, what do you call it? These Walmart, CVS's, these Walgreens. Um, but if you buy a great amount of it, I mean, that's drugs. I mean, that is drugs. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration. So they deal with that. They usually put cocaine in the Coca Cola, man. That's why they called it Coke. Nobody, and then they announce it saying, "Well, we're finally taking cocaine out of the Coca Cola um, soda product," and then you be like, "Damn, I didn't even know." And when I use a drink soda, I usually wonder why it was so strong. I mean, use to drink Coca Cola, I usually wonder why it was so strong. They had used to have it call it Coca Cola, and it was supposed to be from coca leaves, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. But then they changed it to Coke, Coke, which that's probably when they started putting the cocaine in it. I don't know, but it was evident that they were putting cocaine in the Coca Cola soda. So these are the biggest drug dealers right here over here in America, and all those the property of downtowns of every city, including jewelry shops and clothing stores, and is ran by drug dealers. But they they're not going to say it. So I don't know. I don't know if America is trying to play Christian, because when they do this and they capture these kind of people and they bring charges against these people, it's not from a biblical standpoint, man. But they'll try to, I guess, they'll try to, use some of the moral codes of the Bible to justify their actions, I guess. But it says this narrative was part of months of buildup and designations of Venezuelan criminal groups as terrorist organizations. So you got stuff like ISIS and what was that other one, man? I guess ICE and a few of those like the Taliban and those militias. That people are finding out that the CIA and all that people are finding out that they're corrupt and they're part of this whole setup of corruption, and they're the same people that's causing this stuff to happen, so they could exercise these political, you know. Anyway, uh, the U.S. has never fully recognized Maduro as a legitimate leader, recognizing opposition figures instead, and has accused his government of authoritarian. I don't even know what authoritarianism, corruption, and human right abuses. Same thing they said about Saddam Hussein, bin Laden. Sanctions and diplomatic pressure had been ongoing for years. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, have they if they ever accused China of doing such a thing, like having, you know, uh, uh, exercising communism or corruption and human right abuse, abuse. I don't know if that's ever been a thing. Venezuela has a very large oil and gas reserves and historically ties to both U.S. energy interests and to global rivals like China and Russia. Control over these resources and influence in the Western Hemisphere has long factored into the U.S. Venezuela tensions. See, so it has to do, and that's the same thing with Afghanistan back in the day with Kuwait and all that. It was for oil and resources, and concern about power and energy and whatever and same thing going back to Japan with the with Pearl Harbor, man. So and it's we could speculate as men, but some puzzle pieces are missing when it comes to like okay, what was the real story? Let's get in depth because you'll have the patriotic American citizens saying, well, yeah, we're Americans, F them, and that's how the American spirit is, without any investigation, without any knowing of what's really going on. It's just, yeah, we're the Americans, nobody F with us. But if they were wise and considered, the matter of in concerning history, they would definitely find some things and like, well, shit, and they'll probably still be cool with it because they're Americans. The big Confederate flag, the red neck spirit. They don't care. They just like we'll bomb all y'all. That's that pride. Like it says in the Obadiah, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that have set thy nest among the stars. That's Edom, man, and that's the American way. That's been the American way. So I don't know why people believe in America, man. And they probably fear the consequences of because America is tightening up, and they're kind of like we told you, those draconian laws are coming. So when they tighten up, and you know they kind of kill the spirit of freedom of speech. Everybody gets tied in together and concerned and being like, oh well, we can't. People start trying to come together like, oh, we got to stop hating each other. We got to start loving each other, and this is the American way. So they know what they're doing. But it's what the Most High says, and that's why they hate us because we point. we worship the Most High and says, nah, it's what the Most High says, not what man says. And it's all through the scriptures. The U.S. deployed a major naval and military presence in the Caribbean near Venezuela. The U.S. struck dozens of vessels it claimed were used by drug traffickers, U.S. seas. And two, like if you watch the news and then you see stuff blow up, okay, it might be real, it might not be, especially with the AI happening and all this. But these leaders do sometimes. I mean, a lot of times they sell out, and they sell out their whole country. Uh, and sometimes a lot of them times that they're dealing with and deeply into political matters, ties and all that. And the people start finding out, and then they say, well, let's just say that we're bringing you into question about weapons. But I'm just saying, in other cases, in other story matters. But this is probably along the lines of what's really happening. But and look, she's smiling and all that, and it's you just gotta spit out the bones with this stuff, man. It gets real tricky. U.S. launches kind of like that Epstein thing, It's like Epstein, he's a big criminal, but everybody was at his parties, even Donald Trump and Elon Musk and them. So it's definitely a lot of trickery going on, you know. And U.S. the U.S. citizen over here, and I'm talking a lot, but U.S. citizens, they look through a eye of a TV networking TV program that's already set up for them to believe everything that's happening on TV, and that's not always the case. So, Most High said there's going to be rumors of wars. Let me get that scripture. But the end is not yet because of the prophecies. That's why we're big on prophecies, because a lot of stuff can happen. Rumors. But the end is not yet. The end is not until the Most High says the end. Ain't got nothing to do with these people and what they do, but it's a part of it. It says um, it says Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled. And that's what they trying to do, trouble these people's spirit so they can conform to the government that they're setting up, the New World Order. So they're gonna be like, man, this is I gotta get right. Because they think these things are happening because maybe some inside themselves they're not right, and they be like, well, if I be a good Christian and we be good Christians of America, we wouldn't have these problems coming to us, and we for sure be protected because America, they wave their banners as Christian uh, people, as a Christian country. So they be like, well, yeah, let's be the Christian people we supposed to be. So when we do go to war, we'll be sure to win, or you know, we won't have no regrets. We won't have no fear. And they try to play that Jesus stuff, that Christian stuff, but that's not even real. And they're slowly finding that out day by day. So a lot of people are gonna start rebelling, especially when the MOTB comes. That see that she be that trouble. Well, all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And Most High always talk to his people because that's basically who they try to trouble, the Israelites, because you know they're not. Our people are not patriotic. Our people is always have their, even though they go with this black stuff and black powers, they always try to carve something within the American fabric as their own, and not so much, you know, uh, using the American fabric as as a self identity. So they'll be like, well, nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe, but they, even Trump followers, they still they can still get into the black thing. That's why one time Trump said, I love black people. Why he say that? That black stigma word, black, it rings a bell. It stir up spirits. So these type of things stir up spirits too. Like things that Trump says about this war, about Maduro, you know, and so forth. And they're gonna probably have some political talks, and those people that remain, and I guess they would be called a vice president. I guess that following after, coming after Maduro, and then he's gonna speak. I think he already has. They said they consider it as a cowardly move. So you know, it's the end is not yet, like the scriptures say, man. It says when this truth is published across the world, you know, then the end shall come. And the end is not just, we're in the end times. The end is not just like one day. It is what the Most High says it is when things start really happening, surfing. But in the meanwhile, it triggers, and it leads to a worse time, to where it's definitely the end times. So this is a part of it. It's a part of things getting, and then a lot of Americans believe that, oh yeah, we'll just win the war. We'll just make these nations cease from talking and troubling us, and we'll get back to the American way. It's not gonna go back to the good old American way. That's done. They're starting their new world order. They have, they want to complete it. They want to control everybody, the people, the countries, neighboring cities, 15-minute cities, all that. They're going to try to do, all that, man. So, anyway, just some update, and we're watchers, so we'll watch from here as we've been. But, this is some of the news that's coming out. Anyway, hopefully it was edifying. To the next video. Shalom.